Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by Regular Dude and my October update. So, what's been going on? Still working on the same projects. I've got the P51 Mustang 132nd scale and the Meng 135th scale Jagdpanther G1. And I'll flip the camera around a bit and we'll take a look at them. But those are the two projects I'm still working on. I was working on them last month, continuing on this month. It's taken, a little bit longer than normal to get them done, but there's good reason. And I've got some new identical twin grandsons. Hooray! Jensen and Phoenix, the little guys. So I've been spending some time with them, and then my two granddaughters as well. I've also got a project going on directly related to those children, and that's my son's old bedroom from when he lived here. We're converting into a kind of a playroom for the kids. So I've been doing a drywall job in there because it was just wood paneling. And that's the last room in the house that needs drywall, so I'm doing that. So I've been working on that in addition to doing, everything else. So not quite as much bench time, but I have been getting bench time. I'm making good progress, especially on that P51. So that's what's been going on. But we'll take a look in a minute, and I'll talk a little bit more in detail about those two kits. So normally I do a mail call, and I haven't really gotten anything new for the bench. It's just the regular old stuff, just regular supplies and stuff like that, like some paints. And I did finally get some, and I talked about it a little bit in one of my videos, one of the P51 videos. I talked a little bit about masking, and my local store that I buy some of my that I can buy some of my modeling supplies from, since we don't have a real deal hobby shop in this town. Who knows why? I go to Hobby Lobby and I buy stuff there occasionally, very occasionally. Their selection. I've heard some people talk about, they've got all kinds of cool stuff there. Well, about the only thing I can get there that is really helpful is Tamiya extra thin. Everything else, I pretty much have to order it. They don't carry Tamiya paints. They don't even carry Tamiya tape anymore, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. So at Hobby Lobby, they had some yellow tape, and I knew it wasn't the same stuff as Tamiya tape. And but I thought, I need some tape, so I'm going to get some. So let me flip the camera around, and I'll talk a little bit about some differences I see between this brand, whatever brand it was I got from Hobby Lobby, and Tamiya paint. Okay, so here is the two tapes. Now, I'm sure a lot of you, if not most of you, are familiar with Tamiya tape. And, some people complain that it's kind of pricey. And it does cost more than this. However, sometimes you get what you pay for. The nice thing about these Tamiya stuff is you can just buy the spool and save yourself some money and just replace it in the dispenser. So that's what I did. And I was having a hard time finding it, and I finally got some. So I got a couple of rolls of the big stuff, a couple of rolls of this is 6mm, I think. Yeah, 6mm width. Those are the ones I use most often. And if I need something narrower, I'll trim it. For curves, I use their vinyl tape. But I saw this at Hobby Lobby, and I thought, I'm going to give this a try. So here's part of the problem. Now, when I first took it out of the package, it was, it was working great. But the farther I got down the roll, I discovered that I had this weird thing going on. And let me illustrate, because you probably can't see it on camera. But on the edges here, about, let's see, probably about a 1/16 of an inch in on either side. So about 1.5 millimeters maybe in the weird measuring style. There's kind of a bevel on the edge of the tape. So when you peel it off, you can kind of see it along these edges here. It's kind of weird. So I thought, you know, that's okay. I can kind of work with that. But what else you might be able to see is it's not a real crisp edge. It's kind of rough. And that dog's just not going to hunt whenever you're taping stuff off for masking, especially something straight. So I figured, you know what, no big deal. You know, I want to use it up. I just don't want to chuck it. So I would make it real simple, and I would trim that bit off. Okay, so I get a nice clean edge. Great, that works. However, it doesn't seem to stick that well when I put it on either bare plastic or painted or primed or whatever plastic. It sticks for the most part, but especially if you get it in a curve. And I'm not talking a real kinked curve, but a kind of a curved surface. Even if I burnish it down with something, I usually use, you know, like a wooden stick or, you know, something like that. I'll use one of these and I'll burnish the edge to get it down tight. It'll lift off. So it doesn't really stick that great. So it got to the point where I was getting frustrated because, you know, I was getting some underspray, you know, on parts, on stuff I was painting, and it was frustrating. You know, I'd have it in some corner, I'd do my spraying, and it would seep underneath the edge. Not seep, but, you know, just because it wasn't sticking that great, I'd get a little bit of atomized paint underneath the edge of the tape, and it's just frustrating. So I thought, you know what, I just ordered me some Tamiya tape and went with it. So, you know, and I'm sure there's other brands out there that are just as good as Tamiya. They're not available to me, so I'll stick with Tamiya. And this kind of stuff here has been relegated to the drawer of shame, which I really don't have, but it's just in a drawer, not getting used because it is so unreliable. All right, so next let's talk a little bit about the projects I've got on the bench. So right now, I've got the Meng Jagdpanther. Now, here's where I'm currently at. I've got the wheels painted. I painted the black, and then I made some masks and masked the wheels. Got those painted. Got the drive sprockets and idlers painted. And I painted the lower part of the hull. Now, the reason I did the lower part first is because I'm using XF60 dark yellow for the base coat for the lower extremities, because it's a little bit darker than XF88, which is dark yellow 2. So this is a little bit lighter, so I'm going to use that for the upper surfaces. And the main reason is because, you know, this is darker. It's going to be more in shadow, so I figured I'd use that darker stuff. You know, because this jar is almost done, so I'm trying to get rid of it. But that's what I put on there. Now for primer, normally I use Stynel Res, as anybody who watches my channel knows. I've got Stynel Res. Right now I've got gray, black, and red oxide. In the black and red oxide I have, in the black it's the one shot. The MIG one shot, which is just rebottled Badger Stynel Res. And then I've also got the brown oxide in the one shot and in the Stynel Res. So I normally use those, but I just, in my distaste of acrylic, water-based acrylics. Sometimes I just, it's kind of a hassle, especially on a bigger project, to clean the airbrush. I mean, I can clean it. I can do it. It just takes longer. So I thought, you know what? I've got a can of Tamiya surface primer, the gray surface primer. So I thought I'll use that. And I used that on the wheels and part of the hull, but I ran out because it was just a partial can and I wanted to use it up. So I thought, you know what? I hear people doing this all the time, so I'm going to give it a shot myself. I just used some regular hardware store gray primer, in this case Krylon, which is a decent brand of primer. I thought I'm going to try it, see how it works. Lots of people do it, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. And I did, and I have to say, it works great. It went down well. It's smooth, and it just worked. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to use that all the time, but I did want to try it, and you may think I'm crazy for trying and doing an experiment like that on a kit like this, but I'm an adventurous sort, so I thought, you know, I'm going to go for it. So I did. So it worked good. So then I started painting. So the next part will be to get the XF88 and finish painting this, and then I can start working on the camouflage. So that'll be coming up real soon. So that's working out good. So I'm also working on the Revell 1/32 scale P51D-5NA. It's a 2017 kit, I believe. It's been a good kit so far. There's kind of a few things. Some of the details kind of soft. I had some challenges with a few fitting things, but overall it's been a pretty enjoyable kit. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of black stuff going on. That is the pin wash I did on panel lines and around some details. So I need to get a Q-tip or cotton bud, depending on where you're from, and some thinner, and start getting the excess off. Then I can start doing a little bit of light weathering. Now, because of the nature of this particular subject, which is the Lu 4, which was Colonel T.J.J. Christian, it wasn't in theater for very long. You know, got into combat for D-Day, and then crashed during a ground attack mission in August of '44. So it didn't spend a lot of time in combat. Also, you know, it got this paint scheme. Now, you see all this blue on here. There's controversy as to whether it was blue or if it was green. I went with the blue just because some of the evidence is compelling enough to me to think that, yes, it may have indeed been blue. And I also like the uniqueness of the color. And I like the way it turned out. I mixed up my own batch of paint that I talk about in one of the videos, but yeah, I like the way it turned out. And it's just a little more unique in color scheme. Possibly correct, possibly incorrect. I went with it and I like it. So, but because it was in combat for so short of a time, I'm not going to really hammer it with weathering. If you've ever seen photos, and if you feel like looking some up, of Lu 4, there's not even any exhaust staining on the side. And I think, this is pure supposition on my part, because it was like a photo shoot that was being done with this and 3 other aircraft, like an in-flight kind of thing. They may have just scrubbed them down and cleaned them up really good, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of wear and tear on the paint. Since it was only in, I'm assuming, in these colors for a few months, it's probably not going to be real beat up. But I am going to add some like weathering, not a lot of. Now, I did do chipping here because I've seen the wing root of the plane in a photograph, and there was traffic marks and a little bit of fading. So that's what I'm going to do, but there's not going to be a lot of chipping. There's not going to be a lot of staining and a lot of oil just all over the place and everything else. it's going to be a relatively clean aircraft because I'm simulating when it was used for that photo op in the sky. So so far so good. I'm digging the way it's turning out. It's the first aircraft I've done invasion stripes with, and you can see right there a little bit of that underspray I was talking about. This is a really flat surface, so that tape should have stuck really well, but it didn't. I may clean it up a little bit, but I most likely won't, because you know the invasion stripes weren't done very meticulously from all that I've, you know, from some of the stuff I've read, and I just don't feel like, you know, messing with it. So there's that. So this is coming along really well. I should be able to finish this up in the next week or two, and then I can move on to my next project, which is what I'm going to talk about next. So in keeping with my one aircraft kit and one armor kit on the go at the same time, just so it keeps things fresh and I can change from one to the other when I start getting a little, you know, need a little bit of a change, I'm going to be doing this kit right here. I may have talked about it on the channel before, I'm not sure, but it is the Airfix 1/48 scale Supermarine Spitfire Mark 12. It's a clip wing version. I'm going to do it right out of the box because I really like this color scheme. I'm going to go with this color scheme, these markings, the whole thing, and should be a fun project. This will be my second Airfix kit and my first Spitfire kit ever, except for one of the old Willows, I think, balsa wood and tissue aircraft that I did when I was in like 5th grade back in like 1975. So that doesn't really count. So this will be my first injection molded Spitfire. I'm looking forward to it. Now this one I got from Jeffrey Strong at Smokey Mountain Modeler. So I'm going to add a link down below to Smokey Mountain Modeler, his YouTube channel. So you might want to get on there and check it out, because he's got some really cool stuff on there, and he's a really nice guy. But he had a 100 subscriber giveaway a couple of months ago, and I won this kit. He had 3 kits up for giveaway, and this was, I won one of them. I think I was third pick, and this was the kit, and I was really stoked, so I'm digging it. But it should be a fun kit. It's a newer release. Let's see if I can see a date on here. I'm not sure. Let's see if there's a copyright on here. I don't see anything, but it's a relatively new release. I could look on ScaleMates, but I haven't. But in looking at the kit, it looks really good. A lot of nice detail. Doesn't look like too much as far as seam lines, you know, mold seam lines and stuff like that. Nice detail on the wings as far as panel lines, rivet detail, stuff like that. Should be a fun kit. Here's the decals here. I haven't really got too in depth into looking at it, but I'll do a inbox quick look whenever I get ready to start it. But this is the next aircraft I'm going to do, so that should be really fun. Looking forward to getting started on that. So as soon as the Mustang is done, Spitfire's next. So there you have it. That's my update for October, and a little look-see at what's coming up in November. So as always, thanks for watching, and if you guys have any hints, tips, suggestions, all that kind of stuff, put them in the comments section down below, and I'll get back to you. So stay tuned for the completion of the P-51 and the Meng Jagdpanther and the beginning of the Spitfire. So as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.